So when it comes to Uber, you're going to hear a lot of negative talk. People are going to tell you Uber is not paying right now. It's just not. That's what people are going to tell you. People are going to tell you you're wasting your time turning on that app and taking these crappy offers. People are going to tell you, why would you ever do that? People right now are going to look down on you if you say that you're an Uber driver full time. Because being an Uber driver is not a prestigious position. It's not something that you should be proud of. Being an Uber driver is almost like a step down, to some people. Being an Uber driver is it's like being a janitor. It's just looked down upon. It's frowned on. Ooh, yeah, Uber driver. When it shouldn't be, but that's the way the perception is. With the way that the economy is, being an Uber driver, according to other people, especially other channels, is not what you want to do. It's just not, according to these other channels. But see, that's where you got to be a critical thinker. That's where you got to just say, okay, if being an Uber driver is so bad, why are there so many people still doing it? Like, if being an Uber driver is so horrible, why are so many people still on these platforms? Look, you shouldn't be an Uber driver if all you're thinking, if you care what people think. Because I'm gonna be honest, the perception of an Uber driver isn't that great, but if you care what people think, and if that's what rules your life, you shouldn't be an Uber driver. Because maybe you don't know this, maybe you do, but driving Uber is gonna be customer service based. So people are going to get in the car and they're going to tell you whatever is on their mind, because that's just what it is. You're a stranger. Nobody cares what a stranger thinks. People are going to expose their lives to you. And yeah, it just is what it is. In a 5, 15, 30-minute trip, they're going to tell you their whole life story back there. And they're doing it because they don't necessarily value you as a driver. It's okay, Like, I've heard the craziest stuff as a driver. Like, I've heard about people that are cheating on their husbands, cheating on their wives. I've heard about people that have some medical dysfunctions, in that area. I've heard people talk about how, the kid isn't his or the kid isn't hers. I mean, well, the kid isn't his. And it's like, I've heard people back there talking about how they're writing somebody out of the will and they won't even know. I've listened to conversations of people getting fired back there, people being fired. You would be surprised at the type of conversations that people have in that back seat, So when I say you can't, if you're going to be an Uber driver, you can't care what people think. Because the stuff that what you have to realize, and this is what being an Uber driver taught me. Everybody is going through life, whether you get it or you don't. Everybody's going through life. Everybody got their own problems. So you can't focus so much on a title. You know what I'm saying? The title Uber driver may not be as prestigious as, a CEO, or in my case, a banker, or, what I'm saying? It just may not be that prestigious, but it's still a job. You know what I'm saying? So It's still paying. It still can pay your bills. It's still a position. It's an important position. You know what I'm saying? You're taking people's lives in your hand. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't look at it the same way as you look at a police officer or a firefighter or a military personnel. But it's still important. You have somebody's life in your hands. If again, I ain't saying stuff like this, but like if you mess up, you slip up or whatever, you get into an accident, that's their life, that's their life. So you can't value so much what other people think about. If you're going to be an Uber driver, I just got to be honest, because just because they think some type of way and because they're not valuing you, it's okay. It's okay. You can't be an Uber driver. You shouldn't be an Uber driver if you're not willing to put in the time. Fortunately, being an Uber driver, really making money, is gonna cost you time. Sorry to tell you, it's gonna cost you time. This is a business. I know a lot of people don't feel that way and yada, 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 but it's a business. You become a contractor when you sign up for these apps, whether it's Uber driver, Lyft driver, Amazon worker, it's Spark driver, Instacart driver. You become a contractor, just like you would if you were a plumber, just like you would if you were one of the people that fix that fix ACs. You're a contractor, so you don't work for Uber, but every time somebody gets in your car, Uber is contracting you for that specific ride during that specific time to take them from the point that they are to another point. So you're a contractor at that point. Now, once they get out the car, once you close out the trip, you're no longer contracted by Uber. So the only way that you make money as an independent contractor, the only real way that you make money as an Uber driver is having people get in your car and getting them to their destination and they get out and you close the trip. That's it. It's not how many hours you work. I know a lot of people care about that. It's not how many stickers you have in your car, because you can have the Uber sticker right here, you can have the Uber sticker over here, you could be wearing the Uber shirt. It's not that. It's not even necessarily your great customer service. Your great customer service may get you a tip, or bad customer service, it could get you deactivated, but it's not necessarily that. It's simply how many people you pick up and drop off. And when you close that trip, whatever you took that offer for, that's what you get paid. That's your money. That's in your bank account. I mean, once you cash out, if you cash out or if you let it come to you direct deposit, then you let it come to you direct deposit. So, yeah, again, what I'm saying is if you're not willing to put in the time, you shouldn't be an Uber driver. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you up front so you don't waste your time. Because to make real money as a driver, to really make good money, and when I say good money, to make $100 a day, to make $200 a day, it's possible, absolutely possible, obviously depending on your location. So if you're in the middle of Arkansas and you see nothing but goats and, you got deer roaming around you, maybe not. But if you're in a populated area, a Atlanta, a Miami, a New York, a Las Vegas, a Phoenix, if you're in a populated area, then yeah, it's absolutely possible because you have a large volume. You have a large demand for people that may need your services. So it's possible to make whatever you want to make. It's very possible. But but the way that you achieve it, the cheat code, the secret, so to speak, is you're going to have to work. And my recommendation, this is how I've survived all of these years as an Uber driver. I've been at this since 2020, when the pandemic first happened in March 2020. So this is now, what, 5 years later? It's actually really been 5 years, you know? How I've survived is I treat this like a full-time opportunity. So I personally work at least 40 hours. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do that. Everybody does this for different reasons. But when you work 40 hours, you better believe that you can make $100 a day, $200 a day, $300 a day, depending on off season, busy season, market, whatever. But you better believe that it's a possibility. It's more of a possibility that you'll hit that, because I'm putting in the time. If you're not going to put in the time, you're not going to see the results. And that's with everything. That's with anything, any type of business that you opened up, whether it's a shoe store, whether it's a food business, any type of business that you open up. If you're not putting time in, it's hard to say that you're going to be profitable. It's hard to say that you're going to make any money. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to work. If you don't work, you don't eat, in other words. So my recommendation to you, again, is if you're not going to put in time, you really shouldn't be an Uber driver. Because you're not going to make money. There was a time where you could make money by just turning on the app. Right now, today in 2025, in June of 2025, that is not the case. And so you gotta put in the time. And this is what it is. This is what it is. And the last thing that I'll say is you really shouldn't be an Uber driver. Really, really shouldn't be an Uber driver if you don't want better for yourself. Don't be an Uber driver. Now, this one is coming more so from the heart. This isn't like just a normal response. Because, see, a lot of people think that being an Uber driver, it's the end-all, be-all. And it's not. It's not. It's not. Right? This is not it. This is not the end of your story. If you're an Uber driver now, if you're a DoorDash worker, this isn't the end of your story. This is a moment in time right now. Right now is a moment in time in your life. The way I look at it is we all have books, but some of us are at different chapters. I feel old, so sometimes, it's like I'm a little bit further in my book than you might be in your life, but I may be on page 199. You may be on page 60. I don't know. But this is just this isn't it. This isn't it for me. This isn't it for you. So if you're going to be an Uber driver, what I need you to remember and what I need you to have in the back of your mind is this is temporary. Temporary in the sense of right now, you may get out here and go grind. You may get out here and you can make $100, $200, $300. But I need you to remember one thing. You have to remember that you have to be pursuing something else. So whether it's, okay, cool, I'm working Uber right now, but I'm going back to school. Uber is giving me the flexibility to be able to study. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be studying. I'm going to go drive, and then I'm going to go study, and I'm going to drive, and then I'm going to go study. I'm going to drive to pay the bills, and then I'm going to study so that I could try to get into college. I'm going to try to pass my college. I'm going to try to get my degree. Or, you know what I'm saying? In my case, I'm studying right now to get a different job. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get back into cybersecurity. Get my certifications up, yada, yada, yada. That's what I'm doing. That's part of what I'm doing. But because of the flexibility that I have with Uber, I can do that. I'm using some of the money that I make to put in time to study. That's one of the things that I'm doing. Another thing that I'm doing is I trade. And I'm making, trying to trying to do some things with trading. So I trade the futures market. I don't know nothing about stocks. I don't know nothing. I mean, I used to do Forex, but I was never really successful. But right now, I'm fairly decent. I'm fairly decent at trading futures, but I'm using the time, the flexibility that I have because I'm an Uber driver and because I can pay my bills through Uber. I'm using the other time that I have to study and learn how to do futures, how to do better, how to trade, learning different strategies and tweaking my own strategy. And it's kind of like on the fly. Like I'm learning on the fly because, I'm using money from Uber, that I make from Uber to continue my learning process. So it's like on the job. But these are just some of the things that I'm doing in my personal life. You guys know previously I have an insurance business that I use the money that I make from Uber to fund my insurance business, the advertising and all of that stuff. I actually got to renew my licenses and stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but the point is, this isn't forever. And this is what this is the last point. If you're an Uber driver and you think that this is forever, unfortunately, it's not. And you have to continue looking to the future. Whether it's leveling up your vehicle, maybe, so like right now, I'm in a Tesla. I didn't start off in a Tesla. Whether it's, moving to a different area, you guys know I'm going to be driving to different areas for the summer because right now here I live in South Florida. It's our slow season. You know what I'm saying? Or it's just pursuing different opportunities. And that's what I was saying. I'm pursuing trading. I'm pursuing cybersecurity. That's my thing, I'm pursuing different avenues. So it's just don't get stagnant. In other words, don't get stagnant because this isn't forever. You want to try to be better than you were when you started, So 5 years ago, I was a server. 5 years later, not a server anymore. I make a lot more. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot more things going on. Have a lot more experiences, So, but yeah, with that being said, man, I'm going to get out of here. If you're not a part of the free community that we have, it's a community of drivers. Download the app Telegram and hit the link in the description and you'll join the community. Now do talk. Other than that, man, if you got a question, a comment, leave it down below. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Deuces.